designs were once the biggest signatures for an MMA fighter. But for every Chuck Liddell or Mirko Cro Cop, there were a number of fashion faux pas that left fans scratching their heads. This is a list of attire deemed controversial, embarrassing, or that hindered a fighter's performance in the Octagon. Welcome to the INC, and these are 5 of the biggest fashion fails in MMA. Dennis Hallman should have been remembered as an MMA pioneer, a former lightweight title challenger with a pair of wins over UFC legend Matt Hughes, until an ill-judged prank ended up tarring his reputation. After years competing on the regional circuit, Hallman returned to the UFC in 2009, where he reacquainted himself to fans with wins over John Howard and Karo Parisian. In 2011, Hallman took on Brian Ebersol on the main card of UFC 133. The match attracted little fan interest, until Hallman chose to give the Philadelphia crowd more than they bargained for.
And what an unfortunate choice in shorts. I guess he's actually going to fight like that.
After losing a bet with one of his training partners, Hallman took to the cage wearing a bright blue Speedo, coming close to exposing himself on multiple occasions as the crowd chanted for him to put some clothes on, before Ebersol brought a premature end to the fight 4 minutes into the first. The UFC immediately brought in rules dictating the length of a fighter's shorts, while Ebersol received a post-fight bonus from a visibly relieved Dana White.
For the first time ever, I'm giving out a thanks for getting those horrifying shorts off TV as soon as possible bonus. And I'm not joking. Brian Ebersol gets $70,000 too.
Although Hallman would fight again in the UFC, including a win over John Makdessi, his Speedo move turned him into a figure of ridicule, eventually being cut after failing to make weight for his final 2 fights. Hallman retired in 2015 after losing his last 6 fights, and today works as a wrestling coach and a hammock salesman. Get it? Several fighters have embraced their nicknames over the years. Unfortunately, Junior Baby Albini was one of them. Once weighing 360 pounds, Albini took up MMA as a means of losing weight before taking up the sport professionally and earning a UFC contract off of a 13-2 record. After beating Tim Johnson in his company debut, Albini earned a match against former heavyweight champion Andrei Arlovski. Albini admitted his previous size meant he found wearing shorts uncomfortable, but his solution around the problem was haphazard to say the least.
What is going on with Albini's shorts? I know his nickname is the baby, but that man's wearing a diaper right now.
Albini spent a largely forgettable fight bouncing around like an oversized Tommy Pickles, while his subsequent decision loss meant the gamble on his attire proved worthless. Albini initially saw the humor in his choice of apparel before choosing to retire the shorts, stating, "Fighting in a diaper is damn hard." Things haven't got better for Albini since, being stopped in his past 3 fights and entering 2020 with his place in the UFC under serious threat. Female fighters are especially vulnerable to wardrobe-based hazards. A notable example came at Fight Night Ottawa, where Joanne Calderwood faced Valerie Letourneau in the UFC's first women's flyweight fight. Calderwood, known for her Muay Thai background, spent most of the fight peppering Letourneau with body kicks, only to constantly catch her foot on Letourneau's top in the process. Calderwood's kicks soon dislodged Letourneau's equipment, leaving her chest vulnerable and fearful of exposing herself to the crowd, and eventually leading to her downfall late in the 3rd round.
Right back, Valerie! Letourneau wants out! Jojo Calderwood with a huge performance tonight!
Letourneau wasn't the only fighter to have trouble with her gear. Marina Moros came close to showing the goods at Fight Night Zagreb, as did bantamweight Liz Phillips during her 2015 win over Jessamyn Duke. Letourneau took extreme measures to avoid a similar outcome in her next fight, but a split decision loss to Vivian Pereira saw her axed from the UFC with a 5-4 record. Sponsorship has been a part of MMA since the very beginning, but one such deal nearly put the UFC out of business. At UFC 39, Rico Rodriguez took on Randy Couture for the vacant UFC heavyweight title. The event took place at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut, and the fighters were under strict instructions not to wear apparel promoting a rival casino. Rodriguez, who held a deal with the online firm Golden Palace, chose a unique solution to the ban by getting the company's name tattooed on his back. The Mohegan Sun immediately got wind of Rodriguez's stunt and threatened to cancel the show if a solution wasn't agreed to. with Dana White later stating the impact such a move would have had on the UFC.
The tribe said, we're shutting down the show. They're not having it. It was the main event. So
yeah, I remember that.
Lorenzo and I got in a room with these guys and worked it out with them, but he almost shut down the show. And back in those days, a show getting shut down like that could have put us out of business.
Although Rodriguez would win the title by 5th round stoppage, his move saw him blacklisted by the UFC, getting released from the promotion after losing his first title defense to Tim Sylvia. Sponsorship would become prominent in MMA during the early 2010s, with a number of questionable companies looking to get involved in the sport. Now, whatever happened to dude wipes? This last segment is devoted to the UFC's kit supplier, Reebok. In 2014, Reebok struck a multi-million-dollar deal to become the official supplier of UFC merchandise, but their tenure has been marred by poor quality content and even worse design flaws. A notable victim was former Strikeforce champion Gilbert Melendez, who was unceremoniously dubbed Giblert thanks to a spelling error on Reebok's website, or describing lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos as a power bottom.
What's a power bottom?
A power bottom is a bottom that is capable of receiving an enormous amount of power. Actually, Mac, you got it backwards. You see, a power bottom is actually generating all the power by doing most of the work.
The company also managed to offend entire nations. Early in Reebok's tenure, Polish fighters were forced to wear a black eagle despite the image being offensive due to being a symbol of Soviet oppression, while a Reebok-branded Ireland jersey was pulled due to omitting the 6 counties making up Northern Ireland. Several fighters have spoken out against Reebok. Brendan Schaub claimed the lost revenue from the deal played a factor in his retirement, and Jose Aldo claiming the kit's design made fighters look like the kids' TV series Power Rangers. There are several websites chronicling Reebok's blunders over the years, so until their contract ends in 2021, stick to Under Armour. And now, time for a few honorable mentions. Melvin Manoff held himself together in his win over Kent Koppinen. The same can't be said for his battle skirt.
Well, the shorts have gone. There's a souvenir for someone.
Ronda Rousey and her constant short adjustments. Rosa Acevedo wore this cat onesie during her spell with Invicta. Unfortunately, JJ Aldrich is more of a dog person.
But it is a good way to...
Oh, hard body shot there. Acevedo's in a world of pain. It is done. Mike England stops it, saves her.
This is the INC. Support the channel on Patreon.